Welcome, traveller, to Driftwood Stories, where ancient footsteps echo across stone, and the stars still remember the names of heroes. Tonight we walk with one such name, a name carried like thunder, yet softened here, like the hush after a storm. This is the story of Hercules, not as a warrior roaring into battle, but as a man burdened by sorrow, given 12 labours to find his way again. We do not shout his victories. We walk beside him, through forest and field, across rivers, through silence, into darkness and back again. His strength is known, but it is his persistence that tells the true story. So lie back now, let your breath slow, and follow us into an old world, where monsters wait, but so too does redemption. The journey begins. Chapter 1. The Weight of the World. Before the tales of strength, before the monsters and medals, before the name Hercules echoed in marble halls, there was a child born beneath a restless sky, to a mortal mother named Alcmene, and a father who was more than storm, Zeus himself. The gods watched, the earth stirred, and in the cradle the boy's hands curled like twin flames, not to strike, but to hold the world he would one day bear. He was given many gifts, strength beyond imagining, a heart like a great hearth, capable of deep warmth, but also dangerous when left untended. He was not gentle by nature, but neither was he cruel. He was a boy who wrestled with shadows, even when the world called him sunlight. They named him Hercules, glory of Hera, but the name was bitter with irony, for Hera, queen of the gods, did not love the boy her husband had sired with another. She watched him grow not with pride, but with a slow burning wrath, and so, from the heavens, she seeded his life with hardships, not with swords, but with silence, not with fire, but with loneliness. And yet he grew, tall, broad, kind in his own quiet way. He loved Megara, his wife. He loved their children. He planted vines, not only spears. He laughed around the hearth, not only in the face of danger. He tried to be more than strength. But the gods are not always fair, and madness, when sent by Hera, does not roar. It whispers. One day, in a moment lost to nightmare, Hercules was struck by a fever of the mind. He saw enemies where there were none. He heard war in the silence. He moved through his home with fear in his blood, and when he woke, his wife, his children, gone by his own hands. The world did not roar in judgment. It grew still. Even the gods, those who play at fate like liars, fell silent, and Hercules, the strongest man alive, fell to his knees, not in battle, but in grief. He wandered. He wept. He tore at the earth with bare hands, searching for some sign it could hold the pain he carried. He asked not for glory. He asked only, "What must I do to make the world right again?" And so he went to Delphi, to the oracle of Apollo, whose words flowed not from pride, but from the deep current of fate. She looked at him, this broken giant, and she did not flinch. 12 labours, she said, 12 trials, given by King Eurystheus. Complete them, and you may be whole again. Hercules nodded, not because he understood, but because doing was all he had left. If sorrow could not be undone, perhaps it could be carried, transformed, laboured into something else. He returned home briefly, to the halls of men who now looked at him with fear, not awe. He did not ask for their trust. He asked only for forgiveness and time. He received neither, and so he went alone to Tiryns, to the court of Eurystheus, a petty king with a heavy crown and a heart unsure how to wield the power given him. But he saw an opportunity to humble a half-god. He welcomed Hercules with false words, and then he gave him his first task. "Go to Nemean," he said. "There lies a lion no blade can pierce. Slay it, bring me its skin." Hercules bowed his head, not in obedience, in purpose, and so he walked, not marched, not charged, he walked, with silence in his heart, and the weight of a past he could not outrun. Each step was not toward conquest, it was toward understanding, and as he passed through the valleys and hills, the wind whispered his name, not with praise, but with memory. Hercules, son of Zeus, breaker of chains, bearer of sorrow. The first labour awaited, but more than beasts and battles. What waited was transformation. Chapter 2, The First Labours. The road to Nemean was quiet. The trees did not speak. The birds did not sing. Even the river seemed to hold its breath. As Hercules passed, he walked without armour, without ceremony, only a club in his hand, and a lion waiting in the hills. This was the Nemean lion, a creature not born of nature, but of nightmare. Its fur could not be pierced, its claws could shatter bronze, its roar turned brave men into shadows of themselves. But Hercules did not come with bravado. He came with sorrow, with silence, with the weight of his name coiled behind his ribs. He found the beast in its lair, deep and dark, the kind of place where light forgets how to return. Bones lay scattered like dried leaves. Skulls grinned at him through the dust. The lion growled, a sound that echoed like thunder trapped in stone. It lunged. Hercules did not draw a blade. He let the sword fall, and he wrestled the beast with his hands. It was not fast. It was not glorious. It was breath against breath, sinew against sinew, a clash of muscle and will. Each held the other with the certainty that only one would rise again. The struggle shook the earth. The trees leaned in. The sky seemed to pause, and when it was done, Hercules stood, breath ragged, arms shaking, the lion still and heavy in his grasp, not killed in anger, but calmed in necessity. He could not skin it with any weapon, so he used its own claw. The lion had given him its first lesson. Some wounds require their own remedy. He wore the pelt upon his shoulders, not as a symbol of conquest, but as a mantle of transformation, soft on the inside, unbreakable on the outside, a second skin for a man who had nearly lost his first. Eurystheus flinched at the sight of him, this grief-wrapped warrior, wearing the lion as a cloak. From that day on, the king gave orders from behind a bronze urn, peeking through the slits in fear. Cowards often hide behind thrones, but even thrones grow smaller in the face of quiet strength. The second labour came quickly. "Go to Lerna," Eurystheus said, "where a beast with many heads poisons the land. Slay it, the Hydra. It lived in the murk and marsh, its breath choking the reeds, its blood seeping into the water like ink from a broken pen. Each time a head was cut, Two more grew in its place. It was not just a monster, it was a lesson, a reflection. Some enemies are like that, born from fear, fed by fire, made worse when we attack without understanding. Hercules fought it fiercely, his club snapping bone, his fist soaked in venom. But it was not strength alone that saved him, it was help. His nephew, Iolaus, stood by his side, young, steady, silent. When Hercules severed a head, Iolaus burned the neck with flame, sealing the wound before more could grow. Together they turned chaos into stillness. The final head, immortal, hateful, hissing, he buried deep beneath stone. He did not destroy it. He contained it. Some things cannot be undone, only acknowledged, bound with care, left in their place. Hercules dipped his arrows in the Hydra's blood, poisonous, unerring, eternal. But he did not carry them with pride, he carried them with caution. That was the second lesson. Even power must be handled with care. The third labour seemed easier. "Bring me the golden hind of Artemis," Eurystheus said, "a sacred creature, untouchable, swift as starlight." Hercules did not lift his club, he lifted his eyes. He tracked the hind not with traps, but with stillness. For days he walked in its wake, never rushing, never hunting. He saw where it drank, where it slept. He watched the snow bend beneath its hooves and heard the wind sigh in its passing. It was beauty in motion, innocence with eyes like moonlit water. And finally, when it stopped and turned to him, when it saw not a threat but a witness, he reached out his hand, and it let him touch it. He whispered a promise to return it unharmed, not to the king, but to the forest, to Artemis. And she, watching unseen, allowed it, because even the gods understand, when reverence is offered freely. That was the third lesson. Not all victories are capture, some are kindness. 3 labours done, 9 to come. Already Hercules was changing, not in strength, that had always been there, but in something harder to name. He walked more slowly now, spoke more softly. Each task was no longer an enemy to defeat, it was a mirror, a teacher. He was not cleansing the world of monsters, he was learning which monsters still lived. Quietly, within himself, and how, perhaps, to live with them. Chapter 3, The Middle Trials. The next labours came like seasons, not all at once, but one after another, each with its own rhythm and weather, and Hercules, no longer only a warrior, was learning to walk with the world rather than against it. The 4th task: capture the Erymanthian boar, a creature of the mountains, rage wrapped in fur, tusks like spears carved by winter. Eurystheus did not ask for its death. He asked for it alive, a test not of might, but of restraint. Hercules climbed through frost-bitten forest, his breath clouding, his steps slow and steady. He did not set traps, he did not roar. He waited, he listened, he learned the boar's rhythm, its morning drink, its midday rest, its path through the snow. And when the time came, he did not fight. He led it, luring it into a ravine, where it slipped and tumbled, not harmed but caught. Hercules carried it, tusk first, down the mountain, wrapped in ropes and breathing steam. The people gasped, but Hercules did not smile. He untied the creature and let it go. That was the fourth lesson. Not all control is conquest. Sometimes it is mercy. Then came a stranger task. Clean the stables of King Augeas. Eurystheus said, filthy for 30 years, and do it in a single day. No monster, no beast, just filth. Years of it. Hercules arrived and found walls caked with rot, floors heavy with the weight of neglect. Others would have shovelled, scraped, grumbled, but Hercules saw rivers. He broke the walls open, diverted the water, let nature do what brute force could not. By dusk the stables shone like new stone, but Augeas, pride stung, refused to honour the promise, and Hercules left. Not angry, just quiet. That was the fifth lesson. Some labour earns no reward, but peace does not wait for permission. Next came birds, deadly ones, their feathers sharpened like razors, their beaks dipped in poison. They shrieked over Lake Stymphalus, darkening the sky, driving away every song. Hercules tried arrows, too fast. He tried nets, too clever, so he changed the air itself. He fashioned great bronze clappers and banged them together until the mountains echoed. The birds scattered in fright, their darkness broken not by blade, but by sound. That was the sixth lesson. Some fears are scattered, not by strength, but by interruption. And then the Cretan bull, beautiful, furious, set loose by Poseidon, forgotten by kings. It tore through the island like a storm, hooves cracking stone, eyes wild with unspoken rage. Hercules approached it with no trap, no sword. He moved slowly, spoke softly. When the bull charged, he caught its horns, not with fury, but with calm. They wrestled, yes, but it was not a battle. It was an understanding. And when the bull stilled, Hercules guided it back, hand upon its back like a brother. He showed it, then released it. The seventh lesson: anger needs recognition. More than it needs punishment. 7 labours behind him, each different, each demanding, not of his fists, but of his growth. He no longer sought victory, he sought balance. He spoke with shepherds now, shared fire with wanderers, ate olives in silence beside old trees. He looked less like a god and more like a man, becoming something greater. Not in power, in presence. And though Eurystheus still cowered, still sent messengers instead of standing face to face, Hercules returned each time without complaint. Because the labour was never about the king, it was about the weight, and how it changed him. Chapter 4. Beyond the Mortal Path. The next labours were no longer of earth alone. They stretched into story, into the sacred, into the strange, tasks whispered from the edge of maps, from the mouths of the gods, the mares of Diomedes, 4 horses, unnatural and maddened, that fed on flesh instead of grain, born of cruelty, raised on blood. They were not wild by nature, they were made that way. Hercules came to the city of Diomedes, where no laughter lived, only chains. He saw the horses, eyes red, foam thick on their lips. And then he saw the king who had taught them to be like this. Hercules did not shout. He did what was needed. The king fell, not with drama, but with silence. And when he did, the horses changed. Their eyes cleared, they stepped forward, not tamed, but freed. That was the 8th lesson. Even the fiercest hearts, may soften when fear is removed. Next, the belt of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. Hercules sailed across waters that smelled of salt and prophecy. He came not as a thief, but as a guest. Hippolyta met him, strong and calm, and saw the quiet in his gaze. She offered the belt freely, as a gift, as a gesture of mutual respect. But Hera, never finished with her shadows, whispered lies among the Amazons. They turned on Hercules. Confused, betrayed, a fight broke out, brief and bitter. Hippolyta fell in the chaos. Hercules held her hand as she died, her blood on his palms, her eyes still kind. That was the 9th lesson. Even peace may fall to rumour, even trust may bleed, but grief can still be honoured. The cattle of Geryon came next, red-coated and guarded by a giant with 3 bodies and a dog with 2 heads. They lived at the edge of the world, where the sun sank into the sea. Hercules crossed continents, fought storms, faced Geryon beneath a burning sky. He did not roar. He moved swiftly, cleanly, tired of killing, but resolved. He gathered the cattle and began the long walk home, through deserts, through fields, through ambushes and silence. He did not complain. Each hoofbeat was a heartbeat, a reminder of how far he had come. The 10th lesson. The longest journeys are not in distance, but in the quiet steps we take when no one is watching. Then came the apples of the Hesperides, golden, hidden in a garden beyond the western wind, guarded by nymphs. And a serpent with 100 coils. Even Hercules did not know the way, so he asked, and the world answered. He found Prometheus, chained to a rock, his punishment endless. Hercules broke the chains, freed him, and in return Prometheus gave him the path. In the garden, Hercules met Atlas, the Titan who held the sky upon his shoulders. He asked for help. Atlas agreed, if Hercules would bear the heavens in his place. And so Hercules took the sky, not for glory, not for story, but because it was needed. He stood beneath stars, the entire weight of the sky pressing into his bones. His legs trembled, his breath slowed, but he endured. Atlas returned, apples in hand, and tried to walk away, but Hercules, smiling faintly, tricked him kindly. "Help me adjust the burden," he said. Atlas took the sky back, and Hercules took the apples. Not with theft, with tact. The 11th lesson: wisdom wears many masks, and sometimes it wears a grin. One final task remained, not of earth, not of sky, but of silence. The underworld. Chapter 5, the last task. The 12th labour was not a hunt, not a fight, it was a descent. "Bring me Cerberus," said Eurystheus, "the hound of the underworld, alive, no sword, no death, just the walk into shadow." Hercules went to Eleusis, where the earth breathes secrets and the rites are older than words. He found the cave, the passage down. The air grew cold, the light forgot how to hold shape. He stepped into the dark. No hero's fanfare, no roar of monsters. Only silence and the sound of his own feet, on stone softened by centuries. He passed the river Styx, where memory clings like mist. He met Charon, the ferryman. "I have no coin," Hercules said, "only a reason." Charon, who sees truth more than form, nodded once and gave him passage. Through the dark halls he walked. He saw souls. They did not cry out. They did not reach for him. They simply watched. Some wept without sound. Some whispered names of things they had lost. And Hercules bowed to them as he passed. At the heart of it all was Hades, and beside him Persephone. He did not kneel, but he did not challenge them. "I come not to steal," he said. "I come to return after showing. Lend me your hound, and I shall give him back." They looked into him, through him, and found no arrogance, only weight, only weariness. Persephone nodded. "If you can take him without harm, he is yours." Cerberus was not just teeth, he was sorrow made flesh. 3 heads, 1 heart, eyes like coals, breath like night wind. He roared, the cavern shook. Hercules did not lift his club. He sat, he waited, he spoke in a voice like river stones. "I know what it means to guard something, to stand alone, to be feared." The hound listened. Slowly his head's lowered, and Hercules rose, not as a master, but as a guide. He walked with Cerberus up through the dark, 1 poor step at a time. The world blinked at the sight. Eurystheus hid behind his barrel again, and Hercules, true to his word, returned the hound to where he belonged. Unharmed, unbroken, the labours were done, but Hercules was not the same. He no longer needed to prove anything. He had learned to carry pain without letting it define him. He had learned that strength was not in what he lifted, but in what he could lay down. He wandered after that. He helped where needed. He smiled more often. He listened more than he spoke. And when his end came, as all ends do, it was not a tragedy, it was a return. He rose among the stars, but his stories stayed here, on the earth, in the hearts of those who struggle, who grieve, who work, who heal. Sleep now, dreamer, there are no labours left tonight, only rest. Let your breath be steady. Let your sorrow soften. You too are stronger than you know, and like Hercules, you are walking toward your peace, 1 quiet step at a time.